Welcome to the annual Budapest Renminbi Initiative Conference. This October marks the 75th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between Hungary and the People's Republic of China. Over the past 14 years, the Eastern opening policy of the Hungarian government, which aligns with the Belt and Road Initiative, has greatly strengthened cooperation between the two countries, fostering unprecedented economic development. This anniversary provides an excellent opportunity to dive into how the renminbi is shaping a more interconnected and greener world. At the forefront of the discussions will be the latest developments on the international financial landscape that are leading the way towards sustainable economic growth. We will discuss how green finance helps to heighten the renminbi's presence on the global stage. We will also discover the financial systems needed for future-proof investments under the Belt and Road Initiative. Learn how financial infrastructures and strategic collaborations are paving the way for a resilient economic partnership between East and West. This is an opportunity not to be missed. Join us for this live, hybrid event to explore the present and future of the Sino-Hungarian financial cooperation.
Your Excellency, Mr. Chao Yang, Mr. Qing Zhenlin, Mr. Peng Huiqin, Deputy Governor, Mr. Barnabás Virág, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen. It is my utmost pleasure to greet you all today at the 2024 Budapest Renminbi Initiative Conference. My name is Ildikó Nádra, and I'm honored to be the host of today's event. The Magyar Nemzeti Bank launched the Budapest Renminbi Initiative Conference in 2015 in connection with the Central Bank's Renminbi Program. The international importance of the renminbi is constantly growing. As such, the Budapest Renminbi Initiative was launched to expand Hungary's investment spectrum and financing sources and foster Chinese-Hungarian economic partnership with special attention to the ties between the People's Bank of China and the Magyar Nemzeti Bank. The Budapest Renminbi Initiative's primary goal is to strengthen Budapest's regional role within the Chinese Central European economic relations and promote the growth of cross-border economic activity. The Budapest Renminbi Initiative Conference, held today for the 8th time, intends to contribute to these goals through the development of Chinese-Hungarian economic and diplomatic relations and international knowledge sharing. The event is being held in partnership with the Bank of China CE Limited. Today's conference is organized under the title The Present and Future of the Sino-Hungarian Financial Cooperation. Our program will commence with a high-level opening session, followed by 2 panel discussions. The first panel will discuss the recent progress made in the internationalization of the renminbi and how green finance helps to heighten the RMB's presence on the global stage. Then the second panel will focus on the tailoring of the financial system to the needs of future-proof investments in China and Hungary under the Belt and Road Initiative. During the panels, senior professionals, decision-makers, and experts will share with our audience their valuable insights. As the first speaker of the high-level opening session, I would like to invite Mr. Barnabás Virág, Deputy Governor of the Magyar Nemzeti Bank, the Central Bank of Hungary, to deliver his welcome speech. Deputy Governor Virág, welcome.
Your Excellency Chao Yang, dear Ms. Qing Zhenlin, dear President Pen Hao-chin, dear distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure and privilege to welcome you all at the 8th Budapest Renminbi Initiative Conference. This annual gathering has grown into a cornerstone even for fostering the important relations between China and Hungary, and I'm delighted to see so many leaders, experts, and visionaries gathered here today. First, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to the Bank of China CE Limited for their continuous support and commitment to fostering dialogue and cooperation. This year is particularly special for us in two respects. First, we proudly celebrate the 100 years anniversary of the establishment of the Magyar Nemzeti Bank, the Central Bank of Hungary. Over the past century, the MNB has played a crucial role in ensuring Hungary's financial stability and directing central bank innovations. It has evolved into an institution that not only maintains the health of our financial system, but also actively supports economic growth through forward-thinking policies. Second, we also commemorate the 75th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Hungary and China. This milestone highlights the enduring strengths of our partnership, making today's discussion on the future of our financial cooperation. As we look ahead, our aim is to explore new opportunities for collaboration, particularly in sustainable finance and green investments, as we shape the next chapter of our shared economic future. Today, we gather to explore new frontiers in Sino-Hungarian cooperation. Our focus is on two central themes that could shape the future of our economies: the internalization of renminbi and the vital role of green finance. We are meeting a critical time for global finance, trade, and sustainable development. The Budapest Renminbi Initiative, launched in 2015, has been an instrumental measure for deepening the financial and economic ties with China and the wider Central and Eastern European region. The initiative has allowed Hungary to engage more deeply with China, promoting cross-border economic activities and providing Hungary businesses with new channels for investment and financing. Our focus this year on green finance reflects the urgent and global nature of the challenges we face. Climate change, environmental degradation, and the need for sustainable growth require concerted efforts from both the public and the private sector. China and Hungary both have recognized the importance of this shift. China has taken important steps to develop its green finance market, issuing a large volume of green bonds and financing numerous environmentally sustainable projects. Hungary, too, has been advancing in this area. The MNB's mandate, first in continental Europe, was supplemented with green consideration in summer of 2021. We introduced a range of green measures like Green Mortgage Bond Purchases Program and the Green Home Program. Within this program, the MNB provided 300 billion. In addition, the MNB's Green Capital Requirement Reduction Program encourages banks to increase the share of environmentally sustainable industries and customers by reducing capital requirements. As part of our intention to strengthen international cooperation in green finance, MNB has also joined Capacity Building Alliance of Sustainable Investment Program, launched by the Beijing Institute of Finance and Sustainability. However, to truly address the global scale of these challenges, it is critical that we work together, leveraging both Chinese and Hungarian expertise and resources to drive impactful solutions. This brings me to the second topic of today's conference: Sino-Hungarian cooperation under the Belt and Road Initiative. Since Hungary joined the BRI, we have seen significant collaboration between our two countries. The BRI has facilitated infrastructure projects and increased trade between China and Hungary, further solidifying Hungary's role as a vital economic bridge between East and West. With its emphasis on global connectivity, it's an extraordinary framework that fosters collaboration not only in trade and infrastructure, but also in finance. As the BRI evolves, its potential to promote sustainable, future-proof investment is becoming increasingly clear. By aligning BRI projects with green finance principles, we can ensure that the economic growth driven by the initiative is both inclusive and responsible. This cooperation has the potential for both Hungary and China. On one hand, Hungary can benefit from increased investment and financing opportunities, helping to modernize infrastructure, promote economic growth, and contribute to sustainability goals. On the other hand, Chinese companies and financial institutions can gain access to a rapidly developing market at the heart of Europe. Today's conference is a platform for us to discuss these challenges and opportunities in depth. I encourage all of you to engage fully in the discussions, share your insights, and explore new ideas. The challenges we face are complex, but by working together, we can develop solutions that will benefit both Hungary and China for years to come. The Budapest Renminbi Initiative has been instrumental in bringing us to this point, and I'm confident that it will continue to play a key role in strengthening the ties between our countries as we move toward a sustainable and prosperous future. As we embark on this journey together, your presence here today highlights the importance of your collective vision. Thank you all for joining us on this exciting path forward. I wish you a very fruitful discussions for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy Governor, for setting the tone for today's conference. Now, I would like to ask Mr. Chao Yang, Minister Chancellor of the Embassy of the People's Republic of China to Hungary, to deliver his opening speech.
尊敬的维拉格副行长，尊敬的中国银行林景珍副行长，尊敬的中国人民银行金鹏辉先生，各位来宾、女士们、先生们，上午好！非常荣幸出席2024布达佩斯人民币倡议大会，代表龚涛大使发言。在这个充满智慧与合作的平台上，我们共同探讨金融互联互通、绿色转型以及人民币国际化的重要作用。这对于推动中匈、中欧合作具有重要的意义，预祝会议取得圆满成功。在马土尔奇行长的杰出领导下，匈牙利央行已经成为人民币国际化的坚定支持者和中匈金融合作的有力推动者，为两国关系发展做出了重要贡献。中匈在金融领域的合作一直走在地区国家的前列，共同打造了许多第一。借此机会，也向马土尔奇行长和匈牙利央行表示衷心的感谢。 今年是中兴建交75周年，也是匈牙利央行成立100周年。5月份，习近平主席对匈牙利进行历史性国事访问，两国领导人共同将双边关系提升为新时代全天候全面战略伙伴，开启了两国关系的新篇章。双方在联合声明中强调，将进一步深化金融合作，鼓励两国金融机构为贸易和投资合作提供融资支持和金融服务，进一步挖掘在绿色金融等领域的合作潜力，继续合作发行绿色主权熊猫债。在这一重要时间节点，匈牙利央行和中国银行共同主办此次大会，可谓恰逢其时，既是推进人民币国际化进程的有益尝试，更是落实两国领导人共识的重要举措。不仅为双方金融机构搭建了交流平台，也将为促进中兴无事合作注入新的动力。当前世界处于100年变局，地缘竞争日趋激烈，全球经济复苏乏力，逆全球化和保护主义思潮涌动，阵营对抗和单边主义沉渣泛起。中国始终支持经济全球化，坚定实施对外开放的基本国策，促进贸易和投资的自由化便利化，维护全球产业链供应链顺畅稳定，推进高质量共建“一带一路”，为世界经济复苏和增长注入更多的动力。人民币国际化水平和国际的认可度也在不断的提升。截至2023年底，中国与外国的货币互换协议规模已达4.16万亿人民币，中国跨境人民币结算量突破了52.3万亿元。截至去年12月，人民币在全球支付结算的使用份额达到了4.14%，较2023年1月提升了2.23个百分点。我想，人民币国际化进程是中国经济自身更加开放发展的必然选择，也是中国支持维护国际金融体系韧性、全球产业链供应链稳定的有力举措。女士们、先生们，中国和匈牙利都处在各自发展的重要时期。中国正着力推动高质量发展，扩大高水平对外开放，通过推进中国式现代化，让14亿中国人民过上更美好的生活。匈牙利也在努力实现自身国家发展的目标。我们两国发展的理念相近，政策目标相通，产业优势互补，务实合作呈现出强劲发展的新态势。双方的投资合作将不断深化。2023年，中国再次成为匈牙利最大的投资来源国，各类投资项目已累计为匈牙利创造就业岗位超过1万个，为匈牙利的经济发展注入了强劲的动力。宁德时代、比亚迪等中国知名企业选择匈牙利作为投资目的地，将进一步带动双方在新能源汽车产业链的合作，助力匈牙利汽车工业的转型升级。中国将继续鼓励有实力的中国企业来匈牙利投资，双方将有序推进在清洁能源、人工智能、移动通信技术等新兴领域的合作。两国的贸易往来将更加的畅通。中国是匈牙利在欧盟外最大的贸易伙伴，去年双方的贸易额已经超过了145亿美元。匈牙利出口促进局在中国设立了8个代表处，我想在我们双方的共同努力下，将会有更多的匈牙利优质产品进入中国的市场，来分享中国超大规模消费市场带来的红利。两国的互联互通将会更为的便利。目前已有超过10个中国城市开通了连接匈牙利的中欧班列。去年两国间开行的中欧班列有54列，货物运输量在欧盟内仅次于波兰和德国。特别是匈塞铁路项目建成通车后，匈牙利在中东欧地区的交通枢纽地位将进一步得到强化。此外，连接中国7个城市、每周21个直航航班的航线网络，让两国人民的往来更加的便利，也吸引了大批中国游客来匈牙利旅游，助力匈牙利旅游业的复苏。那我想，两国在投资、贸易、基础设施、旅游等各领域的合作快速增长，也给两国的金融合作提出了更多的需求和期待，也将为人民币国际化提供更多应用的场景。希望我们两国金融界抓住机遇，携手合作，不断扩大人民币合作的广度和深度，在创新金融产品、推进绿色金融等方面取得更加丰硕的成果。 推动两国在"一带一路"框架下金融合作迈上新台阶，为中匈新时代全天候全面战略伙伴关系的发展注入更强劲的动力。同时，我们也期待与其他中东欧国家一道，共同探索人民币在中东欧地区的使用和推广路径，为推动区域经济一体化和世界经济的复苏贡献智慧和力量。最后，再次感谢主办方和所有与会嘉宾的辛勤付出和积极参与，让我们携手共进，共创人民币国际化与中匈金融合作的美好未来。谢谢大家。
Thank you, Mr. Yang. As the final speaker of the high-level opening session, I am pleased to invite to the stage Mr. Ting Zhenlin, Executive Director and Executive Vice President of the Bank of China.
Dear维拉格副行长、坎德拉奇副行长、杨朝公参、各位来宾、女士们、先生们、朋友们，大家早上好！非常高兴在这金秋时节来到美丽的布达佩斯，参加2024年布达佩斯人民币倡议论坛。我们深感荣幸，能够成为这一重要论坛的合作伙伴。我谨代表中国银行，向匈牙利国家银行对我们的信任表示衷心的感谢，同时对匈牙利国家银行成立100周年致以最诚挚的祝贺。2015年，匈牙利成为首个与中国签署"一带一路"政府间合作文件的欧洲国家，这不仅加强了两国的经贸往来，也为欧洲推动人民币的流通和使用提供了良好的契机。自2015年匈牙利国家银行设立人民币项目以来，中匈两国多次续签双边本币互换协议。匈牙利是中东欧地区首个设立人民币清算行的国家，也是首个发行绿色熊猫债的主权国家。中匈在合作中，人民币使用取得了一系列实质性的突破，成为在欧洲持续推进的重要动力。经过10几年的发展，人民币的全球影响力持续扩大。根据SWIFT数据显示，2024年7月，人民币国际支付的占比创下了历史新高，国际支付排名连续9个月稳居全球第4。中国银行始终发挥中匈人民币服务主渠道的作用，致力提供高效、优质、便捷、安全的服务。今年上半年，中国银行境内分行办理对匈牙利的跨境人民币结算达到了101亿元，匈牙利中国银行办理跨境人民币结算达到了163亿元。2024年对于中匈关系而言，是一个具有特殊意义的年份。今年我们共同迎来了中匈建交75周年的历史时刻，实现了两国新时代前天后全面战略合作伙伴的升级。这不仅是两国友谊和合作的见证，更是不断深化经济、金融、文化等领域合作的重要里程碑。伴随着两国经贸活动更加广泛、更加深入，人民币应用场景也会更加丰富。一是区域经贸和金融合作的持续深化。2023年，中匈双边贸易额为 145亿元，145亿美元。中国对匈牙利直接投资达到了76亿欧元。中国再次成为匈牙利最大外资来源国。根据匈牙利中央统计局对中匈贸易中各货币使用情况的统计，人民币在中匈跨境贸易中，特别是匈牙利对华出口或贸易方向的支付地位不断提升，自2015年开始突破发展，并且超过了美元。二是绿色金融的蓬勃发展。近年来，中匈双方在绿色可持续发展领域合作紧密。匈牙利政府2021年在中国银行间市场发行的首单境外主权国家绿色熊猫债，并在2022年再次发行绿色熊猫债，引领了国际最佳实践与境内债券市场在绿色领域的接轨。通过与绿色金融的结合，人民币展现出巨大的发展潜力。三是数字金融的广泛应用。在数字合作领域，中匈在5G 网络建设、数字金融等领域合作不断的深入，尤其是中匈跨境电商合作，显著带动两国贸易的增长。通过数字金融赋能，将为匈牙利消费者带来更加便捷、高效、安全的人民币金融服务。展望中匈经贸合作的新格局，中国银行将进一步发挥全球布局的优势，综合化经营的特色，落实两国战略合作共识，全力践行“一带一路”倡议和中国中东欧国家合作机制，把握人民币国际化的机遇，全面做好金融服务。一是持续服务人民币在国际市场的流通和使用。作为中国全球化程度最高的商业银行，中国银行境外机构覆盖了64个国家和地区，在44个共建“一带一路”国家中设立了我们的分支机构。在中国人民银行授权的全球33家人民币清算行中，中国银行占据了15家。匈牙利中国银行是中东欧地区首家人民币清算行。截至目前，匈牙利分行清算网络覆盖了欧洲13个国家。2023年，匈牙利分行人民币清算量在当地市场占比达到了97%。未来，我们将继续发挥全球化网络的优势，助力客户拓展国际市场。而是在金融的引擎中注入了人民币，推动绿色生产力的高速发展。近年来，中匈两国在绿色领域的合作不断深入，两国在绿色熊猫债发行、开展光伏能源项目等新能源合作上取得了丰硕的成果。当前新能源汽车、锂电池项目的投资不断扩大，在匈形成了产业集聚的效应。宁德时代、比亚迪等多家中国企业在匈牙利设立了生产基地。中国银行将持续完善多元化绿色金融产品与服务，紧跟企业赴匈投资需求，为企业提供咨询、融资、结算、交易等一揽子金融服务，以优质金融服务全力支持匈牙利及中东欧地区客户实施绿色战略。三是持续扩大并巩固在匈经营基础。 中国银行作为第一家在匈牙利设立机构的中资银行，早在1997年便在匈牙利设立的代表处，我们已持续经营了27年。去年，中国银行将欧洲 IPO 区总部共享服务中心设立在布达佩斯。未来，我们将进一步支持匈牙利中国银行做大做强，发挥区域中心的作用，提升在中东区域的业务辐射能力，主动深化与匈牙利政府及监管的合作，推动数字化转型，不断提升金融服务质效。中国银行与匈牙利不仅在匈牙利互动频繁，在中国也密切合作。2023年10月，欧尔班总理到访中国银行，并与葛海交董事长进行了全面、深入、友好的会谈。面对新的历史机遇，中国银行将以服务中匈两国经贸和外交大局为己任，为助力两国持续深化经贸合作和贸易投资做出更大的贡献。最后，预祝本次会议圆满成功，也期待在接下来的讨论中聆听各位专家、学者、朋友的真知灼见。谢谢大家。
Thank you, Mr. Lin, for your opening speech. And I would like to also express our sincerest gratitude towards all the speakers of the opening ceremony for taking time out of their busy schedule to be with us today. Now we will take a short coffee break and we'll be back with the first panel discussion. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to dive into our agenda for today. Let us start with our first panel, which will discuss the recent progress made in the internationalization of RMB and will deliberate on how green finance helps to heighten the RMB's presence on the global stage. The panel will commence with a lead speech delivered by Mr. Peng Huiqin, President of People's Bank of China, Shanghai Head Office. Mr. Qin is also President of the PBoC Shanghai Branch and Director General of the State Administration of Foreign Exchange, Shanghai Branch. Mr. Qin, welcome.
Honorable Executive Vice President Lin Jingzhen, Honorable Deputy Governor Vigorov, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's a great pleasure to attend this conference. Today, I'd like to share some views on RMB internationalization, green finance, and Sino-Hungarian financial cooperation. First, about renminbi internationalization. In Chinese, there is a saying that a canal is formed when water comes. It means don't be in a hurry. When conditions are ripe, success will come. Looking back at the process of renminbi internationalization, we can clearly feel the truth in it. In the 2008 global financial crisis, renminbi were warmly welcomed by the international community to an extent even beyond our expectations. In this background, the pilot program of renminbi settlement for cross-border trade was launched in 2009. In 2015, the cross-border interbank payment system, CIPS, was launched. And then, in 2016, renminbi was officially included in the SDR currency basket. As the statistics show, the cross-border RMB payments grow year by year. This chart shows a growing trend of cross-border payments in China. In terms of function as a global currency, renminbi has also made quite a lot of progress. According to the data released by SWIFT, renminbi now ranks fourth globally as a currency of payment, the second for trade financing, and the fifth of foreign exchange trading. Well, we have to get this part over as soon as possible because of time. According to the IMF data, in 2016, RMB accounted for 1.07% of global foreign exchange reserves. Then the weight climbed to 2.29% in the fourth quarter of 2023. The right line in the chart represents the share of RMB. Maybe this chart is not clear enough. Let's zoom in on the next slide. Then it's quite clear now. In 2022, the IMF lifted renminbi weight in the SDR currency basket from 10.92% to 12.28%. So far, more than 80 central banks and monetary authorities have added renminbi to their foreign exchange reserves. This slide shows development of network, including renminbi clearing banks, currency swaps, and CIPS. In China, the two-way opening up enables more free renminbi inflows and outflows and makes funding and investment more available to overseas entities. This slide shows there are three major channels available for overseas investors. Different channels meet diverse needs. With the continuous opening up of Chinese financial market, renminbi assets are appealing to more investors. Although the total amount is okay, but the relative level is not high. You can see from this chart, the share of overseas investment reached only 3 to 5% in China's stock and bond markets. It shows that we still have a long way to go. Looking into the future, we hope to make progress in 4 aspects, which are shown on this slide. Now, we will touch upon green finance. The renminbi internationalization and green finance are closely related. Currently, the international community is shaping a broad consensus on tackling climate change. In 2020, China announced its strategic goal to reach peak carbon emissions by 2030 and to achieve carbon neutrality by 2060. We have accelerated the development of the carbon market system since then. In 2021, the National Carbon Emission Trading Market was launched. In 2024, the CCER was launched. This slide shows China carbon market. As you know, it covers the largest amount of greenhouse gas emission in the world. To smoothly achieve the 30-60 target, green finance must play a critical role. First, we have established a policy framework. The People's Bank of China issued 2 guidelines, respectively, in 2016 and 2022. The 2 documents make it clear who should take action, what to do, and how to do it. Second, we have put real money on the table. In 2021, the PBoC launched 2 new structural monetary policy instruments. Details are shown on the slide. Third, we have enriched financial products. China has established a preliminary multi-tiered green financial product system. It includes green loans, green bonds, green insurance, green funds, green trusts, and carbon financial products. This chart shows that the growth rate of green loans outpaced that of all loans during the same period. And this chart shows the issuance volume of green bonds. At end June 2024, the cumulative issuance volume of green bond totaled 3.71 trillion yuan, ranked 2nd in the world. Fourth, we have proactively participated in international cooperation. China is the first country in G20 to propose the issue of green finance. The PBoC released the Common Ground taxonomy jointly with relative EU departments and offered guidance on the launch of GIP. We also participated in the establishment of NGFS. Talking about integrated development of Renminbi internationalization and green finance development, Green Panda Bond is representative achievement. In 2005, IFC and ADB issued renminbi-denominated bonds in China's bond market. This marks the beginning of the development of Panda bond market. In recent years, the issuance of Panda bonds witnessed a surge. Also in 2016, the NDB issued the first green Panda bond. And now, the overseas institutions have issued 34 green Panda bonds, and total issued volume reached 36.3 billion yuan. Global green and low-carbon transition not only brings opportunities for RMB internationalization, but also helps speed up the development of Shanghai as an international financial center. Shanghai also sets the goal to develop itself into the international green financial hub. Next, we will boost renminbi-denominated green financial derivatives and enrich the system of Shanghai Price and Shanghai Index. We will also actively participate in the multilateral and bilateral green financial cooperation, takes the initiative in setting international standards for green finance and promote China's standards to get aligned with the international standards. Last but not least, I will talk about financial cooperation between China and Hungary. The areas I have just mentioned are also the key area for future financial cooperation between our two countries. Over the past 10 years, the deep alignment between Hungary's opening to the East policy and the Belt Road Initiative has produced fruitful outcomes in financial cooperation. In terms of renminbi internationalization, Hungary has achieved several firsts among CEE countries. For instance, signing the first bilateral currency swap agreement with China, being the first to establish an RMB clearing bank, and being the first to issue offshore RMB-denominated bonds and pound bonds. In terms of green finance, we have issued green bonds in each other's country and carried out a series of projects in new energy cooperation. In May of this year, just a few months ago, President Xi Jinping was invited to pay a state visit to Hungary. He declared that China will strengthen cooperation with Hungary in clean energy, AI, digital economy, green development, and other emerging areas. The China-Hungary joint statement also states that the two sides will further deepen cooperation on finance, encourage financial institutions of both sides to provide financing support and financial services for trade and investment cooperation, further taps the cooperation potential in green finance and other fields, and continue to jointly issue green pound bonds. All these statements charted the course and formed a blueprint for China-Hungary financial cooperation. As PBoC, we encourage financial institutions in both countries to provide more renminbi-denominated products and smoother renminbi settlement channel to facilitate more use of RMB by enterprises of our two countries for trade and investment. We encourage enterprises in both sides to cooperate a new energy industry, new energy, automobile manufacturing, and other fields, and promote the innovation and application of green financial products. We support exchange in both countries in strengthen communication and cooperation on green financial products and green financial information, so as to achieve green financial market connectivity. In addition, we can also set up financial institutions with each other and explore more cooperation in central bank digital currency and in other areas, so as to contribute more financial strength to high-quality construction of the Belt and Road Initiative. To conclude, I wish the Budapest Renminbi Initiative Conference 2024 complete success. One last word. I think this year is a very special and a very important year. It's the 75th anniversary of establishment of diplomatic relation between China and Hungary. It's the 15th anniversary of launch of Renminbi International. It's also the 100th anniversary of the Central Bank of Hungary, Magyar Nemzeti Bank. So I would like to take this opportunity to extend my best wishes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kim, for your in-depth presentation. Now that we have gained insights from our lead speaker, it is time to dip in the conversation with our upcoming panel discussion. I am delighted to greet on stage Mr. Ádám Banai, Executive Director for Monetary Policy Instruments, Financial Stability and Foreign Reserve Management on the Magyar Nemzeti Bank. Executive Director Banai, welcome. I would like to also invite our panelists. So first, allow me to introduce Mr. Zoltán Kurali, Chief Executive Officer of the Hungarian Government Debt Management Agency. Mr. Kurali has been serving as CEO of the agency since 2019, and prior to his current appointment, he was the CEO of the Deutsche Bank in Hungary. During his banking career, he also worked at various commercial and investment banks, including Citi. Please also give a warm welcome to Mr. Feng Li, Deputy General Manager of the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, Euro SA Luxembourg, and Deputy General Manager of ECBC Luxembourg branch. Mr. Li started his career at ECBC, where he held numerous positions, including serving as General Manager of ECBC Amsterdam branch. I would like to also invite Mr. Christoph Nedopil Wang to join us on stage. Mr. Nedopil is the founding director of the Green Finance and Development Center at Fudan University and director of the Griffith Asia Institute at Griffith University in Brisbane, Australia. He is also a visiting professor at Fudan International School of Finance and a visiting faculty at Singapore Management University. Our esteemed panelists, welcome Mr. Banai, our speakers. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you for all you for coming here to Budapest. We will talk about the green transition and the connection with the renminbi. And when I was preparing to this panel, I thought that I would start with like we are in the crisis times and how many times we start like this, the panel discussions, because in the last 4 years we have seen a lot of very special occasion, probably first time in our career, from the COVID to the war and the energy crisis. So all these were very specific, and I would say, probably I'm not the most objective as I'm in the central bank, but I would say that although we have seen this type of environment, the central banks were successful enough to bring down inflation and to keep financial stability. And we have a long-term challenge with the green transition, since climate change is here and it can strongly affect the goals of the central banks. If we look around, probably you have seen in Budapest the flood was coming on the Danube, and before it we had about 2 months of drought. So from a natural point of view, it's a very unique environment, and both of these type of events may have a significant effect on inflation. So we cannot calm down, although probably some external environmental factors may change or get a little bit better. And to avoid these effects of the climate, we would need about 100 trillion USD or 300. There are very different estimations, but it means that we need tons of money. And we think that as a central bank, we should be in the front line of this battle, and I think we agree with our Chinese counterparts in it, because in the PBoC we have seen a lot of programs which for targeting climate goals. So we agree with with our Chinese counterparts. And also what is very important, that China is very active on the market, and it is more active actually than the US or the Eurozone. So green bonds are larger in China than in other countries. And I think before we go to the transition and the renminbi role in the green transition, I would start as a warm-up question. How do you see the role of the renminbi now generally? We had a very nice presentation. We got a lot of data on the role of renminbi, and we can see that the role of renminbi is increasing in every field. But still, it is far behind behind the share of the Chinese economy as a whole. So how do you see now the role of renminbi, and how do you see the future role of renminbi compared to the other big currencies, to the dollar or at least to the euro? How do you estimate the future of the renminbi? And I think we can go through all of you with a view on this topic.
Hello, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. So obviously I'm trying to approach it from a debt manager's point of view, because that's what I do. So clearly we've seen the data in global trade and global settlements. There has been a quite spectacular increase in the last couple of years. However, at the same time, it wasn't kind of like followed by the share in the foreign reserves of central banks. The peak was in 2021, and from there on it has decreased. But at the same time, it is important to note that monetary supply in dollars and euros increased manifold as a result of the response to COVID, and also by inflation and the cost of sterilization that was going back into the economy. So I think as a result of that, what we expect from the debt management's point of view, that central bank reserves will follow, because they have to follow the settlement currency sort of increase, or the share of the market share of the RMB in that regard. And as a result, obviously, as a debt manager, we cannot ignore that. Obviously, Hungary was one of the first, and we will talk about this in a different, in the second or the third question. And we will have to see this through, and we need to, sort of remain long-term committed to this market, because this market is gaining importance.
Mr. Lee?
Yes, thank you for the question. I think I have prepared some information and the figures to highlight the rapid progress of RMB in their internationalization. But Mr. Jin from PBoC has already shared with us in their speech, so I will skip this part. I would like to mention the gap between RMB and the other leading currencies is still there. Yeah, we can see from the speech the weight of RMB in global payment was 4.7% according to the SWIFT data in July. But if we look at the US dollar, euro, maybe pound, the weight of these currencies much higher than weight of RMB. Maybe the US dollar was almost 47%, euro was 22%, pound 7%. So I can see RMB is still lagging behind the leading currencies. Also, we observed the weight of RMB in global payment is far below the weight of China's GDP in global economy, which should be 70%. So I think even though we have made rapid progress in internationalization of RMB, but we still have a long way to go. But the big gap means huge opportunity.
Yeah, thank you so much, and also congratulations for putting up this fantastic conference and for your 100 years as a central bank. So I think the question is kind of from the numbers. I think shows a pretty clear picture that it's been progressing very steadily. I think also with in many ways Chinese official policy to make the renminbi internationalization steady and very managed, also because of domestic political and monetary concerns. I think on an international scale, what you say, particularly in the green space, there is just this really interesting opportunity, which is different from a few years ago when we would have talked about renminbi internationalization. The Chinese exports, particularly when we talk about export financing, the Chinese exporters are absolutely leading in the global green economy. About 80% of solar panels, wind technology, batteries, and new energy vehicles are dominated by Chinese exporters. So I think there's a very different dynamic in terms of, particularly when we kind of combine the green and the renminbi internationalization, a very different dynamic than even a few years ago, which might provide some really interesting opportunities and also potentially needs for further RMB internationalization and the use of green finance instruments. Now, what we also saw is that in the currency reserves, we've not seen we have actually seen a stagnation and a slight decrease in the holding of renminbis. It's interesting kind of to understand what is actually the basic function of money. And I'm, as an academic, I obviously kind of, we try to think in models as well. And it's a medium of exchange, it's a unit of account, a stable store of value, and a standard of deferred payment. So it's kind of the fungibility of a currency. And I think the renminbi, kind of particularly as a medium of exchange, I think can grow in importance. I think in the other dimensions, it's going to be a little bit more tricky just because of the situation. And so kind of there are some, particularly in terms of the stable store of value that is exchangeable very easily and kind of transferable from China to other countries. I think there are just some issues, which is probably also the reason why we see this stagnation of the use of renminbi.
Thank you. Zoltán, you have a lot of experience, I think, in different type of currency, how to use this, what is the advantage of each of them, and you are seeking opportunities globally, I think. And also you are active and have some experience in the green market. How do you see, from this perspective, the renminbi as a source of funding and diversification opportunity? How do you see it as the source of funding in the green field?
Sure. So Hungary issues in 5 currencies. Obviously, it's domestic currency, Hungarian forint. That is over 70% of the central government debt. And for roughly 29%, we issue also in foreign currencies. So we issue in dollars, in euros, in Japanese yen, and renminbi. So why do we do that, and why these currencies? Clearly, this comes down to the previous question, which is that you would like to issue in the most liquid currencies that are most widely used, both in terms of settlement as well as in terms of central bank reserves, and that's what we have done. Obviously, we have issued in the past in British pounds and also in Swiss francs, but we actually have given up on that. So why did we start issuing in RMB? Simply because we have seen back in the day, it was before my time, in the previous, under the previous management of the debt management agency, we saw the potential of this market as RMB has become a greater and greater sort of like participant in the market share of global trade, and obviously has gained importance in reserves. But at the same time, you know, while we have this view that that we want to be in this because we see that potential and we see that growth, it also has to be a relatively easy access to the markets, because if the access to a market is difficult, then you clearly lose a lot of advantages. For example, if you want to issue quickly or if you want to issue tactically. So as a result, we invested into this back in the day, starting from you know, the late 2010s, and we have issued pound bonds 3 times. So we have set up, actually more than 3 times, more like 4 times. We have set up 2 programs. We have set up a conventional program, and from 2021 we set up a green program. So the reason why we set up a green program, because we felt that after having set up a green bond framework for euros and the domestic market, we had to do that for our Asian currencies as well. So we issued in Japanese yen and we issued in RMB as well. By the time we reached this second program, the green pound bond program, our access to this market has smoothened quite a bit. So that means that we can now issue, you know, with obviously the help of local banks, and I'll come to that in a second. And then this issuance and the preparation is in a very well structured and a very timely sort of like design. So we know exactly what we need to do by when, and we will know exactly when we are ready, and we know exactly when we can issue the first bond, which means that over these years and over these issuances, we developed a good relationship not only with the arranging banks, but also with the regulators who actually understand our objectives and needs. Now, speaking of the banks, we do not feel the need to use any other banks for getting to this market but Chinese banks. And that is, obviously, we work with the global banks in dollars and we work with the global banks in euros and the Japanese banks in Japanese yen. But in case of, you know, sort of the RMB issuance, we see that the performance and the quality of the Chinese banks, especially the lead arranger who works with us on these transactions, is at international best practice and international best you know, level. And that is very useful, because without that, it would be a much more difficult process. And in this case, our kind of like, you know, market access is pretty smooth. And obviously issuing green bonds makes a lot of sense because there is a resonance in the local investor community. And there is clearly a resonance in the, you know, sort of like broader relationships. So not only financial markets, because obviously if you issue in a market, you also have to have a recognition of you as an issuer, as a name. And in this regard, clearly because of the real economy investments and the FDI, this recognition is there, and the financing strategy is aligned to what happens in the real economy.
Do you see any difference in the green market, for example, here in China?
No, so I think clearly what we should be aiming at, and this is where probably the Chinese, you know, currency and the Chinese market still has a room to grow, and this is the size available. So we could issue 2 to 3 billion RMB under a program, and we would really want to, sort of at least double it in the next program, simply because, the more you can achieve, the better, you can actually use that money for financing projects locally. So I think that's the only thing, but at the same time, obviously, the market is developing. We have a sympathy for that, and we have a much longer term vision in that regard. From the point of view of obviously issuing in RMB, this still takes a couple of months. For us, issuing euros as a European sovereign, a European Union member takes 5 days. So, from that point of view, the speed is faster in euros, the sizes are bigger in euros, but at the same time, it is a very important, so RMB is an important tool for us for diversification, and we have this long-term vision.
Thank you. I'm turning to Mr. Lee. So there is an ongoing strategy, especially for large Chinese banks, the going out strategy, which actually Hungary is a winner of this strategy as we have some Chinese banks here. And my question would be how this strategy is working in practice. What are the decisions are made, or how the decisions are made? How do you choose the targets, the regions? And from a sustainability point of view, what could you offer for these target countries? And what could you offer for especially this region, the CE region?
Thank you for the question. It sounds my cup of tea because I'm from the Chinese commercial bank. I think I can share with the progress of ICBC's going out strategy because almost all Chinese banks have the similar strategy. Something about our presence in Europe. Since the first half of this year, by the end of the first half of this year, ICBC has established 419 overseas branches across 49 regions and countries. In Europe, we set up institutions in 16 countries. Among these, we operate 3 institutions in CEE, Central and Eastern Europe. The ICBC Prague branch, ICBC Austria, ICBC Warsaw branch. These institutions provide a wide range of services, including investment and financing, cash management, international settlement. Our presence in Europe is not only to serve Chinese enterprises, but also to help local European enterprises enter into China's market. For example, we always provide a series of workshops, seminars to local European companies with information on China's market, China's economy, assisting local companies funding their commercial partners' business opportunities in China. So in this sense, I could say all Chinese banks are acting as a bridge, facilitating and supporting more Chinese enterprises to expand their business in both markets. In ICBC, currently, more than 80% of our customers are from a local market, covering energy, infrastructure, manufacturing, high-tech knowledge, high-tech industry, also the green energy. For Central and Eastern Europe, I think, from my point of view, most of CEE countries are in the phase of economic transition and development. I can see a huge growth potential in various sectors like manufacturing, energy, infrastructure. So as a Chinese bank, I think most of Chinese banks would like to provide diversified financial services to facilitating bilateral companies to expand their business in both countries, in both areas. So I think, especially in Hungary, I think just Mr. Jin has already mentioned in his speech, we can see very positive signs in the business commercial cooperation between two sides. Yeah, that's my brief answer to your question.
Thank you. Chris, sort of, you are looking at China very closely, and from an academic point of view, and you see a lot of good examples in the green transition. Could you share some of your experiences, some of the examples how the renminbi internationalization helped in green transition? What are those fields which can be very relevant globally?
Yeah, thank you. So it's luckily, as an academic, you also get to do some practical stuff, not just sit behind a desk and crunch numbers. So as part of the, I think particularly in the green transition, we're working with a number of different energy companies, which are very dependent on buying from Chinese suppliers. So that's again the solar panels, the batteries, but also the transmission networks and all the EPC services. So so we work very closely with Indonesia, but also Thailand, Pakistan, where I'm going in 2 days. And all of them struggle with the same thing. How do we kind of get the best deal from Chinese suppliers, and how do we pay them? And I think that comes back to the point that I made before. Here, the renminbi internationalization can really support, and particularly also the use of Chinese financial instruments like the panda bonds, where the local governments, and we've seen this in a number of cases, have issued panda bonds in order to support the financing of some of these Chinese technologies to be imported into the country. So I think that's a really important segue also for the green transition of a lot of these countries, whether it's in Eastern Europe, Central Europe, but of course also across Eurasia and Asia. So this is, I think, one very concrete example where renminbi internationalization can actually accelerate the green transition that is so necessary.
Do you see a demand for it? I mean, from those who want to finance their projects, so they are looking for this solution?
I think that's also coming back what we said before. I think there's a lot of lack of experiences. When we look at the number of panda bonds that have been issued, it's still relatively low. So the overall market experience in utilizing panda bonds, and particularly also green panda bonds, lies typically with larger governments that have a strong relation with China, as well as some development finance institutions like the NDB, New Development Bank, the IFC, I think the AIB, excuse me. And so I think there's a lot more capacity that needs to be built in order for more market players to understand the opportunities for issuing panda bonds. And that's also something where I think Hungary can help. Excuse me.
Can I add something about the advantages of panda bond insurance in China? As far as I know, most of the city governments has introduced supportive policies or subsidies for panda bond or green bond insurance, which can save cost for issuers. And second, I think the effective approval procedure has been in place. For example, no quota for the green bond issuance. Also, non-public offering is allowed. And some stock exchanges have established fast channels for registrations. So I think, from my point of view, each government and enterprises should take the responsibility in supporting sustainable development. In addition to green bond, panda bond, we can see there are still many other innovative bonds. For example, the purpose bonds for women's rights, a tokenized bond in Hong Kong market, also some smart city bonds. I'm not sure whether there will be a room or potential in other countries, but I can point out China's green panda bond will be always available for foreign governments and enterprises to get support in RMB funding. Just a supplement.
Yeah, there are some clear advantages of this type of finance. How do you see what should be done to see more demand for this type of funding, especially from global players? As you have a lot of experience in the green bond market, how do you see what would change the demand for this type of innovative funding solutions?
In terms of investment and financing, I observed an increasing number of non-Chinese market participants are considering using RMB for their financing currency. Also, I observed with growing of RMB clearing system, more and more enterprises would like to use RMB for their direct investment, or contract currency in global trade. That means I can say that means the growing demands and recognition for RMB to be used globally. So why RMB? I think we can have 2 points. First, the value of RMB has remained relatively stable in these couple of years. Second, we can say China's economy is resilient. China's market is vast. Also, its deep involvement in global trade has laid a solid foundation for the wide use of RMB. So I think RMB is playing and will continue to play an important role in the international economic and financial activities. I'm confident.
Yeah, just to add on that, I think right now, in some ways, I was hoping to see more green panda bonds being issued over the last years, particularly with a very different interest environment that we have in China versus the rest of the world. So that's an interesting kind of observation that overall, kind of probably the expectation, at least from a kind of economics point of view, would have been higher. So what are some potentially areas of improvement to really come to that? Apart from, I think, some of the things that are being done already and capacity, I think digital solutions that have been mentioned before should be improved to really drive this ease of doing business, to lower the transaction cost, to speed up the process. We still have a number of technology kind of systems that are not as well in place for kind of that are extremely well established for US dollar and foreign currency transactions, like good PVP networks, payment versus payment networks, where the renminbi to foreign currencies just does not exist as easily. So that makes it still difficult, more difficult to do trade between renminbi and foreign currencies. So I think there's a number of technical steps that need to be taken. And I think a third one, which I think also leaves room for collaboration between Hungary and China, is having very clear standards as well, and particularly around the green space. I think you mentioned also the common ground taxonomy, which is a good taxonomy, but it does not provide anything about disclosure. So it's a taxonomy in terms of what can go into a project, but how do we disclose on specific projects, particularly when we would issue bonds and panda bonds and potentially even offshore renminbi bonds. So these are, I think, a lot of work still needs to be done to really kind of use this potential that I think we are all seeing to a much higher level. And of course, as a researcher and kind of working in standard setting and also working with the Chinese a lot on standard setting, I think there's a lot of work that the Chinese different stakeholders are doing and a lot of collaboration that really needs to happen to utilize this momentum.
And to that, 2 things. One, on who is issuing and why, so and what's the potential. So clearly, corporates and financial institutions issue more in RMB than governments. Why is that? Simply because they probably need RMB funding locally. So foreign government doesn't necessarily need the RMB funding, locally. We are also taking the RMB out and actually swapping into euros because we don't have a need for RMB as a currency. By the way, we don't have a need for dollars as a currency either. We are swapping the dollars into euros as well. So I think, the role of a government, and as you know, obviously there are certain supra-sovereigns and supranationals that issue, and very few governments issue in RMB. But the role of a government is to make sure that it creates a benchmark for its corporates as well as financial institutions. So when they will have economic relations, in a particular country, in this case obviously China, then it is easier for them to price from a relative point of view their own issuance. So, that was also one of our missions, to make sure that we issue in this market if and when Hungarian exporters would want to come to the Chinese market, then the sovereign credit analysis is there, the sovereign credit rating is there, and then on the back of that, the rating agencies and investors can actually, relatively price and relatively value the corporate or the FI issuer. Now, the other point on disclosure, so, in that regard, an issuer wants to make sure that disclosure is done on a unified platform. So, for us, it was essential that obviously for green bonds, we apply for the international capital markets green bond principles, and now with the new green bond framework we set up last year, we also include the European taxonomy. For the Chinese market as well as for the Japanese market, we added the local requirement. However, we are effectively using the ICMA standard to issue the green bond in China and in Japan. If we had to comply with additional disclosure regulations, we would not do the transaction, simply because we do not have the resources to prepare multiple parallel reports on projects. So we believe that the ICMA and the EU taxonomy is global best practice. Obviously, we add whatever is needed for the local market, but anything more stringent or more difficult or more work-intensive, would put us off as an issuer in any market because simply we can't cope with the administrative burden, especially if there is a global best practice in place.
You both touched a little bit the regulation and the data regulation about green bonds. Mr. Lee, how do you see the regulation and how this, I would say, trust issue affects the market and
we have in terms of disclosure? Who's holding who accountable though? So if you have a foreign issuer issuing panda bonds in China, who are the Chinese investors that are really interested in holding the Western or whoever issuing the panda bond accountable? I think there's two sides of the coin. So of course, you have the standard, but you have also the enforcement. And I think there's a number of different these are the ingredients that I think would really support the trust. And this is what we're seeing overall, a big difference between Chinese market and Western markets in terms of green finance, where Western markets, particularly the US, has been a very much bottom-up approach, voluntary standards, where investors ideally hold the issuers accountable for whatever they do. In Europe, it's kind of a mixture between both, where we have a very good regulation, also a top-down approach, but also very much a bottom-up approach where civil society will hold companies accountable when they do greenwashing and when they do empty promises. Now in China, it's of course a top-down approach where the regulator has a much, much stronger responsibility in this regard to also ensure that it's not just a regulation, but the regulation is enforced. And we've seen I think actually good progress in terms of domestic issuance and domestic enforcement of some of the green bond and green finance regulations, and also environmental law enforcement. So there's been really a push and also a governance change how these violations can be enforced. I don't know how strong really the interest would be to enforce any violations of green panda bonds. And I think that's where I think the trust is also important. What we're also seeing, and I think also moving forward, what's going to be interesting, is that currently panda bonds require the trust of Chinese investors mostly. It's not a lot of foreign investors that are currently entering panda bonds. And I'd like to kind of do more research actually on this. So we know kind of, and you also showed the graphs on how big the foreign participation is of overall foreign investors in the bond market and the capital markets. But we don't know, or I have never seen the data and I've never gotten into the data, in different types of asset classes. For example, is green bonds really attractive for foreign investors? Would be green panda bonds be attractive for foreign investors to kind of go into China and buy these types of instruments? So I think, and there would be more data, and these foreign investors would also require exactly that trust that actually what is being promised is being delivered.
I think to that point on whether or not they are attractive, I mean, obviously it's a pricing issue. At the moment, because of the monetary policy of PBoC, it is actually relatively cheap to issue in RMB and swap it into euros, for example. Obviously, a foreign investor would look at it from that point of view. Just one comparison, we actually recently did a Japanese yen transaction, and we have seen foreign investors in it because the cross-currency swap dynamics, that actually transfer Japanese yen FX and interest rate risk to euros are the other way around. So that is more attractive for investors to purchase. I think that's one, and the other is liquidity. Obviously, this was one of my first points, that we would like to see ourselves issuing bigger. Obviously, if we can issue bigger, that means the size is larger, and then hopefully liquidity is better. Obviously, when we issue in RMB, as well as in Japanese yen, the bonds remain where the bonds are placed, which means barely trading. And clearly that is what we need in order for foreign investors to like these markets better.
Thank you. And as we are running out of time, just one very brief question. So as we are in the Central Bank of Hungary, I have to ask, how do you see the role of central banks in the green bond market? What should we do?
Keep buying.
Okay.
I think thank you for organizing this conference. I think the main purpose of this initiative conference is quite clear. So thank you for organizing this conference.
Chris?
I think there's kind of a lot of capacity building that you and others can do, continue working on standards. There's, of course, also MBridge, which is a central bank work to support the Renminbi internationalization. So these are actual initiatives that central banks are doing, and I think you guys are doing a great job and continue to do so.
Thank you very much. It's always nice to hear from somebody else that central banks are doing a great job. So thank you for all the panelists. It was very nice. I learned a lot. I hope the audience also enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Banai, for moderating our first panel discussion. I hope our audience found the discussion enlightening and packed with valuable insights. As this marks the end of our first panel, we will now hold a short 15-minute coffee break before we move on to our second panel. Thank you.
The MNB proudly announces the carbon neutrality of all its conferences. And as all of them, this is also a carbon-free event. With reforestation towards a greener financial system, 50,000 trees herald the central bank's green transition. And this number will increase in every year. The Hungarian Central Bank was among the first in Europe to receive an environmental sustainability mandate as one of its core tasks. Magyar Nemzeti Bank promotes the green transition of the financial system through incentive programs, recommendations, analyses, and discussion papers. The Hungarian Central Bank intends to set an example for Hungarian financial institutions by reducing and neutralizing its own carbon footprint. In line with this objective, the MNB offsets its carbon emissions caused by its own operation by financing habitat restoration projects every year. The MNB implemented a smaller pilot project in PBoC as a start. Then, in 2022, it financed a reforestation project the size of almost 40 football fields in Gest in order to offset the impact of emissions from its own operations. The central bank is committed to maintaining this practice in the future.
Dear audience, thank you for staying with us. The 2024 Budapest Renminbi Initiative Conference will now continue with its second panel, titled Tailoring the Financial System to the Needs of Future-Proof Investments in China and Hungary under the Belt and Road Initiative. Similar to the first part of the forum, we will now hear a lead speech delivered by Mr. Kexin Li, CEO of the Bank of China Central and Eastern Europe Limited. Mr. Li has been serving as CEO of the Bank of China CEE since August 2020. Prior to his appointment, he was the Deputy General Manager of the Corporate Finance Department of the Bank of China Head Office. Mr. Kexin Li, the floor is yours.
His Excellency Deputy General PBoC and Mr. Lin Jinzhen and Mr. Jin from PBoC, it's my great honor to deliver this speech today. First of all, I would like to extend my congratulations on the 100th anniversary of establishment of MNB. I also would like to express my sincere thanks to all of you for joining us. The topic I am going to share is tailoring the financial system to the needs of future-proof investment in China and Hungary under the Belt and Road Initiative. The China and Hungary relationship is now, I think, at its best in history, which has been further reinforced during Chinese President Xi Jinping's visit this May. This year, we are also celebrating the 75th anniversary of diplomatic relations between our two countries. Hungary is the first European country to sign a Belt and Road cooperation documents with China, which also echoes the opening to the East strategy. Bilateral trade between our two countries is on the continual rise. Its volume reached to $14.5 billion in 2023, a 73% increase from 10 years ago, when the BRI was first proposed in 2013. Above that, Hungary has become China's largest investment destination in CEE. Last year, at the Third Belt and Road Forum for International Cooperation in Beijing, President Xi also highlighted 8 major steps that China will take to further support the high-quality Belt and Road cooperation. Hungary will obviously benefit from such moves and actions mutually. We believe
There are three important pillars for the financial systems to support future-proof investments and financing under the BRI, which are sustainability, connectivity, and innovation. The first pillar is sustainability. We believe it is the target, focus, and efforts at both macro and micro levels to build and maintain a sustainable financial ecosystem. On the macro level, principles and guidance are set to promote sustainable development and support innovation. On the micro level, financial institutions like banks engage in developing, designing, and offering diversified green products to meet the client needs and serve the sustainability. Taking Bank of China practice, for example, we are committed to green finance strategy by offering a diverse range of green products, including green loans and green bonds and green supply chain financing. Environmental protection is surely included in our business decision matrix. For instance, we finance a 100 megawatts solar PV power station in Hungary, one of the largest in the CE region at that time. Additionally, we participate in a $2 billion financing project for a battery industry company in Hungary, which contributes to the growth of sustainable energy solution. I think the third pillar is connectivity, which includes a wide range of mechanisms and initiatives to facilitate cross-border financial activities and foster a robust economic partnership. The Central Bank of Hungary is among the first European central banks to sign bilateral currency swaps with China, as just Mr. Jin said, and has consecutively renewed such agreements, raising its transaction volume to 40 billion RMB. This serves to mitigate exchange rate risks and ensure liquidity in RMB transactions. The Bank of China Hungarian branch became the first RMB clearing bank in the CE region in 2015, facilitating the seamless execution of RMB transactions and further enforcing Budapest as a role as a key financial hub in the CE region. Last year, Bank of China Hungarian branch covered over 90% of the total market RMB clearing volume. As of the end of this August, the clearing volumes already increased more than 50% year on year. So furthermore, I think a robust financial infrastructure can effectively support FDI is essential. In 2023, China's direct investment in Hungary reached to $8.12 billion, accounting for 58% of Hungary's total FDI. So such investments cover various sectors. It is well known that automotive industry is a key economic pillar for Hungary. More than 10 of the 22 global automakers invested heavily in Hungary. And now Chinese EV companies also step in and have created a mutually beneficial landscape. So, for example, of major players in these fields include CATL, BYD, and Huayou Cobalt. So last but not least, financial innovation is always the key. As Mr. Li Jianzhen mentioned in his speech, Bank of China continues to improve and innovate green financial products and services. we are very proud to assist Hungary to becoming the first country to issue RMB-denominated green tender bonds, including 1 billion RMB insurance in 2022 or 21 and 2 billion RMB in 2022. Also this year, Bank of China Hungarian branch and our 2 overseas sister branches successfully issued the world's worst sustainable development bonds under BRI in both RMB and US dollar. The total equivalent value was 940 million US dollar, of which our Hungarian branch issued 500 million US dollar. To foster a comprehensive and integrated approach to financial innovation, cooperation among multilateral financial institutions is essential, I think. The Chinese country-level Silk and Road Fund has been established to provide medium to long-medium funding for BRI projects. And our policy banks, such as the China Development Bank, have increased their investment and financing in BRI countries with a particular emphasis on green finance projects. Also, our commercial banks, like our Bank of China and the CCB and the SABC, are also actively collaborating with international financial partners in financing green projects. And ladies and gentlemen, in China, we say a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. 千里之行，始于足下. Similar in Hungary, there is a saying, Shakisi, Shakla Mechi. So today we are working together, and we are embracing innovation, and we are strengthening our financial ties. All that we are doing today is to lay a solid foundation for more shared success and a greater prosperity in the future. So I would like to express my warmest appreciation to the MNB for organizing this RMB conference this year once again. And I wish all the speakers a successful, fruitful panel discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Your expertise adds a great value to the conference. Now it is time to start our panel discussion. Let me first invite the moderator, Mr. Gergely Baksay, Executive Director for Economic and Fiscal Analysis and Statistics of the Magyar Nemzeti Bank. Mr. Baksay, welcome. Let me also invite the discussants of the panel. First, please welcome Mr. Hongcheng Lee, Assistant President of the Silk Road Fund. Before joining the fund, Mr. Hongcheng Lee assumed a number of positions at the Export-Import Bank of China, including in the Credit Department, the General Office, the Treasury, and the Transportation Financing Department. Mr. Lee, welcome. Our second esteemed panelist is Mr. Jason Lee, Head of the RMB Business of Economics and Strategic Planning Department at the Bank of China, Hong Kong. Mr. Lee's work is focused on formulating RMB business strategies at the Bank of China, Hong Kong branch and promoting the development of offshore RMB market in Hong Kong and Asian countries. Thank you, Mr. Lee, for joining us today. I am also pleased to invite on stage our third panelist, Mr. Lin Zhang, Senior Investment Manager at the Contemporary Amperex Technology CO Limited. Before joining the company, Mr. Lin was director of the investment department at the Silk Road Fund. Welcome, Mr. Lin. Dear distinguished speakers, it is a pleasure to have you here. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. As you learned from the introduction, all of the experts in this panel are dealing with the internalization of renminbi on a daily basis as a representative of an important real economy investor in Hungary, the representative of CATL, as a representative of Bank of China, as a banker, and as a representative of the Silk Road Fund, which, as we just seen, is a very important player in the Belt and Road Initiative. I would like to start with a general question. We learned that we celebrate a lot of anniversaries this year, 75-year anniversary, 100-year anniversaries, and some others. But the Chinese-Hungarian relationship reached a new level this year. We reached a milestone. China and Hungary have agreed to elevate their bilateral relations to an all-weather comprehensive strategic partnership. We would like to ask you, what will it mean for the future? What new opportunities this new type of relationship may create? Please, any of you can answer the question.
Let me try. Thank you. Thank you, Gergely. I'm sorry, but my English is not very good, so perhaps you can guess what I'm meaning. And I prefer to speak Chinese on the stage. But as you know, the establishment of diplomatic relationship between Hungary and China was founded 75 years ago, and China has celebrated its 75th anniversary of New China Foundation. So the long history here showed the friendship of a long history and everlasting. And I think from all these years, many Chinese and Hungarian enterprises and has already developed rapid progress in trade, in investment, and in mutual understanding as well. So, especially in this May, I think Mr. President Xi visited Hungary and elevated the bilateral relationship with Hungary. And I have to use this opportunity, if you permit, to make an advertisement because it is free of charge. And Silk Road Fund was founded 10 years ago, following the Belt and Road Initiative. It was launched. And the mandate of this company is to facilitate financial supporting to the trade and investment alongside the Belt and Road route. But for about 10 years, we are focusing investment, especially equity investment, on industrial cooperation and infrastructure and energy and resources and industrial cooperation and so on. And the total assets of Silk Road Fund is around $18 billion today, and total commitment of the investment amounted to about 24 billion US dollars. And this is the secret fund, and we think under this new relationship with Hungary, we can do more and more, especially under your help. And if there are any investment opportunities, please let us know. Just give us a shot. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, God, to invite me here. And so the first of all, I would like to, congratulate the two countries upgrade the partnership in this May, and particularly to the financial sector. I think this new type of partnership and has, several levels to make the interconnection between financial fields in Hungary and China. The first level is that it will encourage the financial institution to set up branches to each other. You can see that many Chinese financial institutions have already set up the branches in Hungary over these years. For example, Bank of China Hungarian branches has been booted in this area for more than 30 years. And you may find another thing is that the momentum is accelerated recently. So when we consider about this, we cannot see that these branches cannot be considered as isolated entities here, because when they operate and do business locally or globally, and they will, their impact will beyond themselves and benefit the local economy at all aspects. So let's move to the second level. It means that the new partnership will boost the financial ecosystem. And all these branches are the foundation of the ecosystem. On one hand, they serve as a bridge, financial bridge, to strengthen the tie between Hungary and China. And the more stronger practice, like relations, cooperations, and the close economic ties between the two countries, and will attract more Chinese corporation to invest and to do business in Hungary. On the other hand, and the projects caused by these, corporations, will generate more demand for the financial and the banking services. So it means that the financial institution in both sides will work together to meet these, requirements, these demands. In a way, when a positive cycle is formed and executed, and it means that a good financial ecosystem will be established. And that level is that the new partnership between Hungary and China will promote the regional financial cooperation. China and CEE countries has already get a very big cooperation with each other recent these years. But there's no doubt that Hungary is the first European country to sign the intra-government documents with China on the BRI. And the Hungary had made outstanding contribution to promote the cooperation between China and CEE countries. So in the future, from my perspective, Hungary can serve as like a regional finance hub or regional financial center to do business in between China and the CEE countries. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Mr. Sheng, do you have anything to add?
Thank you for the question. I'll answer it from corporate perspective. This strategic partnership between China and Hungary is creating a wide range of exciting opportunities, especially in the green energy sector. Today, I'm proud to represent CATL, 宁德时代, a global leader in new energy technologies. In 2023, CATL held 37.5% market share of the global electric vehicle battery market. As we know, Europe is making strong progress toward electrification and a green energy transition, with a goal of becoming carbon neutral by 2050. A key milestone in this path is stopping selling petrol and diesel vehicles by 2035. Batteries are essential with a goal for this green transition, and the CATL's mission is perfectly aligned with the goal for both European Union and Hungary to creating a sustainable carbon neutral future. In 2022, we announced a 7.3 billion euro investment to build a battery in Hungary with a production facility of 100 gigawatt hours. This facility will be the key in supporting Europe's transition to green energy and electric vehicles. Why did we choose Hungary for our operations? There are several reasons. First, Hungary has a strong automotive industry. Its rich history in the sector aligns perfectly with CATL corporations. Second, Hungary's well-developed logistic infrastructure provides strong support for efficient operations. Finally, and most importantly, the favorable investment environment. Hungary provides a supportive atmosphere for foreign investments, backed by beneficial policies. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The comprehensive answers you provided covered a lot of topics we could discuss later, but maybe we can spare time later before the lunch. My first specific question, I turn to you, Jason, Mr. Lee, that Hong Kong is the most significant hub of offshore RMB market, so you have a vast experience on this market. What do you think? What would be the key factors for Hungary to be not such a strong, but a regional hub for offshore renminbi market?
Okay, it's a good question. And in 2003, Bank of China Hong Kong was designated to the first offshore RMB clearing bank by PBoC. And since then, Hong Kong, has continued to develop into like global RMB business hub and become the largest offshore RMB center in the world. And right now, Hong Kong's offshore clearing volume accounts for more than 70% of the world total. And Hong Kong has the largest offshore cash pool, the largest foreign exchange trading market, offshore RMB bond market, etc. And by taking this advantage, Hong Kong has, expanded its capacity to Southeast Asia and Middle East, even to the BRI projects as well. So of course, some advantages just unique to Hong Kong. Here I want to share some my most profound personal observation The first one is that, a policy-driven approach is very important to the RMB offshore market development. The government, especially market regulators, plays a very important role in this area. For example, in Hong Kong and the China mainland and Hong Kong government joined together, formulated the current account market guidance and facilitated policies. These guidance and the policies encourage the financial institution to provide RMB products to cut costs and improve the efficiency. And on the other point is that the regulator has a complete mechanism to support the market liquidity. For example, Hong Kong MA is like a Hong Kong Monetary Authority has provide 58 billion RMB yuan to Hong Kong market to make that maintain the orderly and stable RMB market development. Beyond that, the PBoC and HKMA has signed a bilateral swap agreement. The total amount is 800 billion yuan. So this liquidity to support the market development. And another thing is that the industry organizations also actively involved in the development of the RMB offshore market, like Hong Kong Association of Banks. They established a RMB business community to monitor the market status and then communicate with all relevant parties like a regulator, like a market maker, to improve the practice, to prove the market to do the best practice. So all the things get together. In addition, is that the financial infrastructure is essential for the offshore market development. And so a well-established financial infrastructure will support the offshore market to attract more participants, more like the market makers, more service providers to enter into this market. And the financial infrastructure includes the market mechanism and the financial system. So the RMB clearing bank is a very important financial infrastructure to the offshore market, which created by the PBoC. And you can see that our PBoC Hungary branch has set a good sample to promote the RMB development in Hungary market. So we can get this together, and so we can. Another thing is that, so let's check my. Yeah, in addition, Hong Kong has made significant progress in the connection with China mainland and Southeast Asia. For example, for the FP fast payment system and the QR code payment system. I heard that Hungary already launched, is going to launch the quick projects. And in this area, maybe China and Hungary has very huge potential to cooperate each other. So that's my insight.
Thank you very much. If I may add, the quick what you mentioned in Hungary has already launched a couple of weeks ago.
All right.
Great. Thank you. As a related question, I turn to Mr. Lee from the Silk Road Fund, that we learned about the global success of the results of internalization of Renminbi. How do you see its role specifically in Central and Eastern Europe? And what opportunities do you see to make the renminbi more attractive for this market?
Thank you, Mr. Gergely. In fact, I'm not at all an expert on this side, so my understanding is that after all these years of launching the renminbi internationalization, I am not quite sure about this internalization, because I feel it like some kind of movement. And in fact, it is driven by the market and also driven by some governmental policies. And all these years we have faced some obstacles, such as or I can say many banks are not participants in our renminbi clearing settlement system, not direct participant, either indirect ones. And the second problem is that, of course, China's economic growth rate in all these years are slightly decreased, although it is still very high, because around 5% per annum, but the trend is to decreased. So under this situation, the assets nominated in renminbi, perhaps its return on assets will also slightly not interested to the investors. And the other problem is that China is still a country that have the foreign exchange control policy, especially on the capital accounts. And these kind of problems can only be solved by the practice of our enterprises, and also directed by the authorities, the government organs, to facilitate newly or innovated policies to speed up this process. And I'm not sure whether we can, because they are Mr. Lee is, there are too many Mr. Lees here. Mr. Lee is a banker. They know how to how to identify your customers. In fact, my company, when we are opening a bank accounts with them, well, PBoC is our main and clearing bank. The KYC process was very long. Usually, it will take more than one month. And I'm not sure, but perhaps Western banks will take more time, perhaps 2 to 3 months, perhaps. And I would apply our bankers to accelerate this kind of process. And also we need the great help of our government, our government authorities to put the policies together to ease these kinds of obstacles. That's my understanding, sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. We certainly don't have too many Mr. Lees if they have so much expertise and so good sense of humor. So thank you very much to cheer up us in a Monday morning. No, I turn to Mr. Zhang from the CATL about a quite practical question. As a major foreign direct investor into Hungary, but it is an important investment in the European level as well. May I ask you what kind of financial challenges did you encounter when you entered the European and Hungarian market?
Thank you for the question. Well, Hungary offers an attractive environment for investors. Sorry, let's start again if you can hear. Well, Hungary offers an attractive environment for investors with strong support from Hungary government and the local authorities. Foreign companies still face several challenges while entering European and Hungarian markets. The first challenge is energy infrastructure. The rising demand for electricity and gas brings significant difficulties for local energy infrastructure. The ongoing Russian-Ukraine conflict has worsened supply instability and causing price increase, driving up operation cost for business. Second is the issue of labor shortages. Hungary is facing a significant shortage of skilled workers, making it difficult for companies to recruit the talent they need. This leads to the increased competition for laborers and, as a result, higher costs. The third challenge is inflation. We may already mention that before. In recent years, Hungary has been dealing with high inflations, leading to rising production costs, living expenses, and overall business operation expenses. Salary demands are increasing as well, putting additional financial pressure on companies and limit their growth potential. However, despite these challenges, CATL is committed to becoming a part of the community and building a strong, long-lasting partnership with Hungary to work through those challenges together and achieve our shared goal of a green energy transition. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I turn back to Mr. Li from Bank of China. Mr. Kurali from the Debt Management Agency already mentioned that maybe Hungarian exporters to China could issue more bonds in renminbi. And what potential benefits do you foresee in expanding renminbi transaction for Hungarian businesses and for the broader economy?
Yeah, it's a very big question. And financial and economy are always linked together very closely. And an active RMB transaction, always can, attract the product innovation and provide the market and the corporation more choice and options. First of all, and so it can optimize the exchange rate risk management and save the exchange and transaction costs. So many and companies have do business in China or with some Chinese partners, and if they choose use RMB for settlement or for direct investment, it means that it will reduce the currency mismatch risk, and at the same time, to reduce the cost as well. And secondly, I think that it can expand the market and expand the business opportunity. Since China is the largest importer and exporter in the world, so when you do business with Chinese partners and when you choose RMB as a settlement currency, and it will easy to build up the trust relations and easy to smooth the transaction. And the last is it can enrich the diversify the investment. I have different idea with this Mr. Lee, and RMB denominated assets, in fact, had very big, it's very attractive and have big potential. I can give you one data that by the end of this June, and the foreign investor held about 4.5 trillion RMB bond in, of course, on the offshore RMB mainland China. So when the company or like a financial institution, even the central bank, allocate your assets, and maybe it's a good idea to deploy some assets to RMB dominated assets. That's my view on this. Thanks.
Thank you very much. And then Mr. Zhang, what are your daily experiences, if you have in Hungary, using Renminbi, maybe through the current Hungarian financial system? And what do you think, in what scenarios can the Renminbi be leveraged as an opportunity for companies' future business strategies and investments in Hungary and in the Central European region?
I think the internationalization of Renminbi offers many opportunities for companies, especially in the area of green energy transition in Europe. One major opportunity is enhanced financing options. The Renminbi can help Chinese companies access financing more easily when they invest in European market. By using the Renminbi for cross-border transactions, companies can simplify their financial operations and reduce their dependency on other currencies. And second is a competitive advantage in capital management. By using Renminbi for international settlements, companies can benefit from favorable exchange rate and reduce transaction cost, therefore improving their overall financial efficiency. Third, the Renminbi can help strengthen investment in green technologies. With Europe's focus on green energy and e-mobility, for Chinese companies to contribute to sustainable technologies and infrastructure in new energy projects. And also for CATL, Ningde Shidai, as we continue to grow in overseas markets and enhance our foreign investments, our use of Renminbi for cross-border transactions is increasing. We are also focusing more on making investment with Renminbi. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And my final specific question is addressed to Mr. Hongcheng Li. Mr. Zhang already mentioned the importance of green transition in industry and in consumer level as well. We have learned about the growing weight of green bonds. And what potentials do you see in collaborating with financial institutions in order to enhance and speed up this green transition and sustainable development?
Because I do not remember the exact numbers of our deals, but Silk Road Fund, we have, firstly, we set up a Sustainable Investment Committee under the board, and we also joined, in fact, we are one of the initiatives to the green investment principle, and we signed that several years ago in Beijing. And of course, we have invested about, I don't know, perhaps 87 or 88 projects in these 10 years, of which perhaps 12 are in renminbi currency, and the projects with ESG factors are perhaps more than 70% of these all 87 or 88 projects. And now, before the evaluation and submitted to the investment committee of Silk Road Fund, every project should be measured by our ESG, a lot of factors, and they can calculate the outcomes. I don't know, but they are experts. And if they do not meet our standard, it will not be submitted to the IC committee. And of course, all these years we are learning from the top GPs like KKR, like JIP, like actors, and so on, to study their system and their standards on green investment, on ESG measurement. And we are still on the way, but more and more emphasis are stressed on this kind of issue, and this is one of our key factors when considering whether to invest or not. That is the only the top issue, I think, but I cannot, because I don't remember the exact numbers, so I can't go into any details. Sorry, Mr. Gelge.
Thank you very much. We are running out of time, so my last question about, do you have any final thoughts to share with the audience, maybe some preliminary conclusions from this conference?
I think the partnership between China and Hungary is set for success. Together, we can lead the green energy transition and bring a brighter and more sustainable future for Europe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks again, MNB, to hold this forum. And I wish all of you use RMB more and get more business opportunity and do more better and better business. Thanks.
Thank you, because it is my pleasure to be here. I came to Budapest about 15 years ago, and I will ask you to provide more and more investment opportunities to Silk Road Fund. And if you don't expand renminbi utilization, I will go next year, come back to Budapest. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for sharing your knowledge and insights with us, and thank you for the audience for your attention. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bakshay, for sparking such an intriguing conversation between our panelists. Now, with the closing of our second panel discussion, we have reached the end of our professional program. To summarize today, our speakers have guided us through the most topical questions related to renminbi financing and on the strengthening of the bilateral financial cooperation and RMB transactions between Hungary and China. I personally believe that all of our audience as well as our speakers have found a great professional value in today's event. On that note, I would like to invite Mr. Barnabás Virág, Deputy Governor of the Magyar Nemzeti Bank, to deliver some concluding thoughts and to provide some key takeaways.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, first of all, I would like to thank for accepting our invitation and your presence today. I know well that I'm in a severe situation now because I'm the only person between you and the lunch. But let me say some words as a closing remarks. I checked the numbers regarding the future, and I found, if I look at the world economy and the growth prospects of the world economy, we are moving in a slow-growing territory. Checking the numbers, in this decade, the economic growth in the world economy can be one of the lowest since the Second World War. So what does it mean? Talking with economists, talking with politicians, I'm always get the question, how we can strengthen the growth potential of our economies, how we can provide sustainable growth for our societies. Regarding these questions, I often hear, especially here in Europe, that one of the key reasons behind the weaker growth numbers are the crisis we saw in the last couple of years. We are living in a multi-crisis era. Yeah, it's true. We saw extraordinary shocks in our economies in the last couple of years. But I prefer saying that we are living in the age of great transformations, the great transitions, because the transitions mean challenge on the one hand and an opportunity on the other hand. And I think within that, the key words are green and digital. Of course, if I'm talking as a central banker, I can say the key words are green finance and digital finance. And we have to know that these are not only new megatrends, these are transformatory forces in our life, and those nations, those firms, those societies will be more successful in the future, who can benefit faster from these new transformative forces. And another comment linked to the future of globalization. I heard several times in the last couple of years that the world economy is moving the direction of deglobalization. I strongly believe that the deglobalization cannot be a solution for the world economy. It's worth to look at the history. So I think the nations were more successful in an era where we moved together in a very globalized world. And nowadays we are facing with challenges from the climate, from the technological revolutions in a very wide basis. So that's why I think it's also true for the future. It's better to move together. To do that, as we heard in the second panel, we need flexibility, we need more and more innovation, and we need connectivity. I think these messages were also very important regarding the future. At this point, I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to our guests from the Bank of China, from the PBoC, and to our panelists who added very, very useful thoughts to the to the discussions today. I want to stop here. Thank you very much again for coming to Budapest, for coming to the 2024 conference. Again, I think we have to continue this very open dialogue. We have to act in many fields of the transformations, because these are the key pillars of a successful future in the world economy. So thank you very much for coming. Enjoy your day here in Budapest. Thanks.
Thank you, Deputy Governor, for providing an excellent summary of today's event. We have now reached the end of our conference. Once again, I would like to thank our speakers for sharing their insights and our audience for staying with us until the end. If you missed any of the speeches or would like to rewatch our sessions, please visit the Budapest Renminbi Initiative Conference website or the Magyar Nemzeti Bank's YouTube channel in the upcoming days, as the whole conference will be available on demand. In addition, we would also be delighted to welcome you at the Central Bank of Hungary's upcoming flagship conference, the 2024 Budapest Eurasia Forum, which will be held between 21 and 22 November with physical attendance. The conference will discuss the keywords of success, and as such, talent, knowledge, technology, and capital. We hope to have the chance to welcome you in person at the event or as part of our online audience, tuning in via the MNB's YouTube channel. I am pleased to now invite you all to join us for a reception in the Great Hall. I wish you all a great afternoon, and I hope we meet again next year at the 2025 Budapest Renminbi Initiative Conference. Thank you and goodbye.